Well, thank you, Dad. And you know, I asked Dad to. Dad asked me. I asked him to say a few things, and I always kind of hesitate because I always hate to follow. But thank you, Dad. So I appreciate that. And I also want to say thank you to everyone for being here. And I know that it's Friday before Christmas, and a lot of things that you could be doing, and you guys are here. So I just want to say thank you very much. And I also want to say that. I'm moving on. I also want to say, we didn't invite a lot of people, but we invited the important people. And all of you guys are playing an important part in our lives, and we just really appreciate you being here and sharing this with us. And also want to let you know that we're just grateful to have you in our life. So I got a few things to say, but what I'd like to do, if I could, is tell you a story. I'd like to tell a story about how Jessica and I met our first 3 dates. And the very minute that I fell in love with her, hoped that I could find a way to spend the rest of our lives together. Can I tell you that story?
Yes, you can go.
Can I, let me ask you a favor. There's a couple of parts in this story that I think are funny. They're supposed to be funny. So if they sound like it might be funny, please just humor me, laugh with me, at me, like now. So, like Dad said, we met getting our black belts in martial arts. And to get your black belt in martial arts, it's a process. And so you take classes for several years, and then you get to a point where you can sign up to take a 6-month class to test for your black belt. So I'd gone several years, and I'd never met Jessica, never seen her, but went through several years and got to a point where I could test for my black belt. And so I signed up for this class, and it's a 6-month class, and they only have 2 classes each year. It's like January and July. So I get to the point where I can qualify, I sign up for the class. It starts like 2 months ahead of time. So I make a mental note, okay, I got to be here at this time, and 2 months go by, and I show up, and I'm a week late. I'm a week late. I show up the following Monday or the following Sunday or whatever it was, but I think, well, 6 months worth of classes, surely they'll let me start anyways. But they don't. The lady is like the scheduling Nazi. No, you miss one class, you cannot. And I pitched a fit. I had a temper tantrum, or as my mom used to say, I banged my spoon on my high chair. But to no avail. I could not get into that class. Well, I didn't know it at the time. But Jessica wasn't in that class. She was in the class that started 6 months later. So if I'd have gotten my way, if I'd have gotten what I wanted, we never would have met. We never would have got married. We wouldn't be here. You guys would probably be at Walmart shopping. So write this down, Paul. Story of my life. Sometimes the wrong paths lead you to the right places. So I show up 6 months later, well, 5 months and 3 weeks later, and who's the first person I see in the class?
Jessica.
My beautiful bride. So I want to veer off path for a minute and talk about divine intervention. And I believe that there have been a few times in my life where God has just kind of reached down and put his hand on my shoulder and nudged me in a different direction. And I didn't know it at the time, but that was one of those times. And so for me, that's a life lesson. And it's sometimes I don't know the difference between a curse and a blessing. But I tell you this, missing that class was one of the biggest blessings I've ever had in my life. Next to these 2 guys back there. So 6 months later, I show up for a Hapkido class. First time in that class, it's a 6-month class. I look across the room, I see Jessica. Never seen her before, but I look, she's got the same belt. I go through the calculations. All right, 6 months, same class. All right. So what do? What do? I go right up to Jessica and I give her my best pickup line. Ronnie, you writing this down?
Yeah.
Jackson, Ian, Ethan, listen up. This is my blue ribbon, can't miss, never fail. Not you, Jackson. So what was it, Jessica?
Hi, I'm Brooks Barbie.
That's it. All right. Sorry to disappoint you. Believe me, I have tried them all.
Well, the funniest part is, I don't talk to people, for people that know me. I don't talk to people. I'm not very approachable. So when he goes, "Hi, Brooks Barbie," I go like, "What? Who's this guy?" Because no other, I was the only, there's only 2 women in our class. And none of the other guys, they come near me, they just, and then he goes, "Hi."
So anyways, Ronnie, that line is guaranteed not to get you slapped.
No matter what I say, I get slapped. Just don't claim to be Brooks.
Yeah, insert your own name. So, but in all seriousness, you know, at the time, Jessica was married. I figured at that point I was probably going to be a perpetual bachelor, and we were just 2 students in a Hapkido class. But the Hapkido class, there's, you know, only, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 people in there, and we meet regularly, so everybody got to be good friends. But 6 months comes and goes, and we test, we get our black belts, and we just kind of, everybody just kind of went their separate ways. I started going to a different gym. I don't know what Jessica did with her life. It was just like there were 2 ships that passed in the night, and I didn't even know her last name. But I do remember thinking, you know, maybe one day I can find a partner like that. So, fast forward a few months. I'm at work, and I get an email. And this email is from Jessica Quine. Ah, it's Jessica from Hapkido. And it says, she says, "Hey Brooks, you know, how are you? My husband and I have separated, we're divorcing, and I need to sell my house and buy another one, and could you talk to me about homeowners insurance?" By the way, I'm an insurance salesman, and that kind of comes into play a little bit later. So, you know, my wheels are turning. I say, "Oh, yeah, of course." I'm sorry to hear that. I've been through the same thing myself. I'll be glad to help you. You want to get together for lunch sometime and catch up? So she says, yes. We go and have lunch. And, you know, at lunch, I kind of get to know, you know, her a little bit. We talk about our friends in Hapkido, about her sons, about my sons, what she does for a living, what I do for a living. And while I'm talking to her, it occurs to me that, you know, all of her family is in Brazil. She's from Brazil, moved over here. All of her family's from Brazil, except for Carol. And Carol's in Indiana, so she got no one over here. So I say, it must be tough, you know, not having anyone close by. And keep in mind, this is 2009. And she says, well, there's this new software program that she tells me about where people can send pictures back and forth and text. And, you know, and a couple weeks later, she helped me sign up for Facebook. Maybe you guys that's how long it's been. So
Get an iPhone.
That's later. That's later. You're getting ahead of me here. So at the end of lunch, I give her a hug goodbye, and like I said, I'm in sales. And Glenn, you'll appreciate this. In sales, we have something that we call an upfront contract, and it's basically, you know, you have a meeting with the customer, or in this case, a prospect. And you kind of at the end of the meeting, you kind of agree, hey, are we going to have another meeting? What's the next step? So I say to Jessica, like, do this again sometime. And she says, yes. So I say, you know, I'm thinking to myself, I want to be like, hard to get. I don't want to call her back too soon. So I'll call you. And but I don't want to call her back too soon. So wait at least 15, 20 minutes. No, I don't know how long it waited, but I do know that I really was taken with Jessica on that first date, and I got to know a little bit more about her. But then the second date, we went out a few nights later, or the next week, or at some point. We went to this restaurant, the Old Stonewood, if you guys remember that. And I just had a wonderful, wonderful evening. You know, I'm starting to find out that, you know, I think she's beautiful. I'm starting to find out that she's, you know, just as pretty on the inside as she is on the outside. But what I remember most about the second date is the way home. The way I drive her home, we get to her house. Why are you laughing? We get to her house, and I walk to her front door. And in my mind, I'm strategizing here. I'm thinking, okay, give her a kiss at the front step. Is she going to invite me in? And then where do I go? Well, Jessica decided that for me. She opens the front door, turns around, sticks out her hand and says, I'm not kissing you goodnight. Shakes my hand, turns around, slams the door in my face. Some people would call that a complete shutdown. But But did I mention that I'm a persistent, pesky insurance salesman for a living? I get shut down like that 5 times a day. My normal process is just to kind of wear them down. So that's what I went with here. So I asked her out again, and but this time I think, and she says yes. So my strategy of wearing her down is working. But this time I figure I got to kind of up my game a little bit if I'm ever going to make it past the front door. So at the first dinner, I find out that she likes sushi. So we insure a lot of sushi restaurants, and there's this one sushi restaurant where I know the owner and the waiters and the bartenders, and every time I go in there, they treat me like I'm some kind of big shot. So I think, perfect. And coincidentally, it's in Briar Creek. You know where that Brazilian restaurant is in Briar Creek? Yeah. So I think, okay, I need to make a reconnaissance run to this Brazilian restaurant also. So I go there, and they got this kind of this romantic piano bar in there. And I'm thinking, okay, I got it. I'm going to go to the sushi restaurant. She's going to enjoy sushi. I'm going to be a big shot. And then afterwards, when we leave, I'm going to say, oh, Jessica, you know, it just occurred to me that there's this Brazilian restaurant with a nice romantic piano bar. Maybe I'd go listen to some music. Got it all planned out. So we go and we go to this sushi restaurant, and we have dinner there. And she tells me more about herself. And by this time, I'm smitten. I have just fallen for her. And you laughing at me, Mom?
No.
So we have a wonderful dinner, and at the end of the dinner, we're walking out, and I hear my first what I call Jessica-ism. And English is like Jessica's 4th language or something. And so she will occasionally transpose some words in a manner that I find very endearing and often humorous. So we leave the sushi restaurant and we walk outside and I say, now that I think about it, there's this Brazilian restaurant over here. We'd like to go over there, and they got this piano bar, and she said, just jump in and we'll drive over. And she says, let's walk. It's a nice night. We'll go get a fresher breath air. And I said, perfect. Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. So we go over to this, Brazilian restaurant lounge, and it's got this, like I said, a piano bar. And we sit there and we talk. And she tells me about her life, her hopes, her dreams. And I'm just infatuated. I'm hooked. And it was just one of these evenings, and the previous few weeks that I've been getting to know her, and that evening, it was just wonderful. But all good things must come to an end, and I drive her back home and walk her up to the dreaded front door. So this time I'm standing back, and I don't have many expectations, but she says, would you like to come in and listen to some music? Yeah, yes. So we go inside, and then one of the coolest things happens. She pulls this contraption, so she turns on her TV, and it's got one of these newfangled things that she calls a sound bar on it, a speaker in front of it. And she's got this contraption that somehow plays music through the air, to the TV, through this sound bar. I've never seen anything like it. It was an iPhone. Maybe So we sit down in our living room and we start talking. There's music playing in the background. And I'm looking at Jessica, and I think she's just the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And by this time, I realize that she's just beautiful inside and out. I'm enchanted. I'm just falling in love. And look at her, Jessica, and she is falling asleep. So I think, okay, well, unfortunately I have that effect. Wake up there. So I think that's probably my cue to leave. So I get up off the couch and start leaving, and she opens her eyes and she says, no, don't leave me. Stay with me for a few more minutes. And I thought, okay, I can do that. So I sit back down and I look over at Jessica, and she's just lovely, and the music is romantic, and it's just been one of the greatest evenings in my life. And I look at her and I think, this woman wants me to stay with her for a few more minutes. She seems to really like me. She enjoys my company. Is it possible that she feels about me the way that I feel about her? And this song comes on. You've probably heard it, this Imagine by John Lennon. Well, it wasn't, that was the song, but it was Jack Johnson's version of it. I've never heard it before. The lyrics don't have anything to do with what we're talking about, but I just kept hearing Imagine. Imagine. So I sat back, looked over at Jessica, and I said, she wants me to stay with her. And I listened to the song, and I started to imagine. And I imagined the two of us in love. I imagined this day. I imagined the two of us growing old together. I imagined our sons growing up and fine young men. I imagined a future that I thought had escaped me. And so I looked back at Jessica and I said, all right, I can stay with this woman for a few more minutes. And then I hoped, I thought, and I hoped that I could stay with you for the rest of my life. Thanks. That's it. That's my story. I'm staying.
That's good.
And I'm very grateful to be part of your family, your life, and what I learned from this man. And Ron, Jen, thank you so much for bringing the soul to this planet and bringing him to me, because I know you brought him to me. And this is the first time, well, the second time, this is unconditional love. He loves me with all my flaws, with all my Jessicas. He doesn't care. He just doesn't care. He embraced them, and it's so what's the word? Refreshing. I was gonna say breathtaking, but refreshing. Yes, to have somebody loves you for who you really are. And I don't have to pretend to be anybody. I don't have to. I am who I am with him, and he loves me for who I really am. And I'm very grateful.
Oh.